I was just looking at our Airbnb. So our booked transactions in the month of July, we are scheduled to collect $33,000 in rent.
That is wild.
2 properties and a little bit of co-hosting.
Obviously mortgages on all these, so it's not.
And one of our properties isn't available that month for co-hosting. So really that's a little bit of co-hosting, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
We have some other properties coming to market. So that could be $35,000 by the time July rolls around.
Welcome back to The Broke Billionaires, where we document our daily struggles in building wealth while raising a young family. Join us as we talk creative wealth building for everyday people and couples that are struggling in a down economy. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Joshua Masari, and we'll be your hosts.
Welcome back to another episode of The Broke Millionaires.
It's been a little while. A little rusty.
We took a week off, and I guess...
Not intentionally.
Not intentionally.
Sorry if you were waiting for the episode to drop on Wednesday.
Anxiously awaiting a new episode.
We tried for 5 days to find time to record, and it just did not work. Between being up all night with the baby or being up the night before and then just falling asleep as soon as the kids were in bed, or falling asleep with the kids in bed, just so exhausted trying to put the kids down. It was a rough week. It was a really rough week.
We are adjusting to life as a family of 6, which is still wild every time I say it out loud, a family of 6. And it's going. I saw, I think I've told you, Kylie Kelsey, they just had their 4th baby. And she has a podcast called Not Gonna Lie. And she posted the other day, what is, in 2 words, my thoughts on the transition from 3 to 4 kids. Not terrible. Agree with that?
Yeah, I feel like it hasn't really been any crazier or harder than any of the other kids. It's actually probably easier from the aspect, like just like a bigger family, you think it'd be crazier. It's not really that much crazier. You're already kind of in the thick of it.
You're in the chaos.
I feel like it hasn't really changed much, but it's just going back into it, being older now, not sleeping. Like,
yeah.
I feel like this one's not hitting me as hard as the last one.
The last one hit you real hard.
But I also feel like I sleep through a lot more feedings than you do.
You do.
I'm like, wow, the kid didn't wake up last night. And you're like, no, he woke up 3 times. You just slept through all 3 times.
To be fair, it's only been like once that you've missed, like each night, but not quite 3. But I will say, yes, I do think 3 to 4 has not been as challenging as I thought so far. I do also think with each baby, at least from a mom's perspective, I'm a lot more confident and just more comfortable each time around. So that helps a lot. And I think knowing it's our last, that my perspective is very different. Knowing how fast it goes, that the middle of the night feedings don't really bother me in the same way as they did with our first one. When it was like, I still think the first one was the hardest, like the 0 to 1 transition.
Well, that was also the hardest kid too. So
I didn't realize it obviously at the time, but I think just everything being new.
If we thought that all kids were going to be like that, we would never would have had another kid.
That's probably true. Love you, buddy. But you were a little more challenging.
If all of them were like the second kid, we probably would have 10 kids.
I do think the 0 to 1 is still, I'm sticking to that was the hardest transition, with just like everything being new and a learning curve. And
we also cared a lot more. So it was like,
yeah, that's another thing. Like with each kid, you care a little bit less.
We would use a bottle once and then we'd have to sterilize it and boil it before we'd use it again. I don't think we've washed the bottle of this kid once. Just like rinse it with some cold water and it's good. Like, it's so much easier when you don't care, and the kids still live. So, why did we try so hard on the first one? I don't know.
Someone just posted this about your first kid. He's like sterilized the bottle so well, and by the third, you're like just popping it in the fridge, like reusing it, and it's so true. I do hot water at least. I get really hot water.
I still do hot water. I always do hot water stuff, but I don't like scrub. Like I used to like make sure that everything was killed on it. Now it's just like, just kind of some hot water. It's good.
So yes, we are adjusting okay, clearly the sleep is still getting to us. Hence why we were gone last week. I will say too, we have an amazing village, and in the 3 weeks that we've had him, we have not had to make dinner one time. We've either had dinner delivered, or we had so many amazing friends give us DoorDash gift cards. We've had friends drop off groceries, deliver coffee. And by groceries, it's like it ended up being everything we were like just running out of and needed. It was like snacks for the kids, and like
it's not just helpful because it's food that we don't have to think about. Like, we don't have to cook, we don't have to put things together, but then we don't have the dishes afterwards. Like, there's a lot of like trickle effects of someone doing that you don't have. Like, it just makes everything easier because put the kids to bed and they come home, now you got to clean the kitchen, have all these dishes, and to not have that and just to easily clean up from whatever the dinner was dropped off. It's like, it's just so much easier to do that with everything else that we're juggling right now. So as we try to get used to this other child in our lives, and obviously all the newborn needs and everything, but to not have that other stuff for the first few weeks on your plate as well, it has been tremendously helpful.
Yeah, it really is. If you know anyone having a baby, no matter if it's their first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, highly suggest doing a meal train for them, or just dropping off a meal if that's, you don't have a large community, but it's truly the best way you can be helpful for a new family.
Yeah,
for sure. Let's see. What other fun updates do we have? I'll let you say this one.
Well, we the current project that we're finishing up, I believe last episode we talked about finally getting the sign-offs on the house. That was the day we brought the baby home. Like, I had to run over to the house, get sign-offs, and then go back and bring the baby home. So, yeah, so we got everything signed off, and like within a week we had like the perfect. Well, actually, we started having a lot of activity on it all at once because we kind of started as soon as we got the sign-offs, we started kind of pushing the marketing, started listing it everywhere, and started getting interested people right away. We actually had a corporation reach out that's interested in the property because it is a higher end property, and with what they do, this works well for their business. And we're still in talks with them. They didn't get back to us. They had some things going on. We kind of gave them a deadline to get back to us. They didn't get back to us by the deadline. And we had other requests coming in, so we ended up taking another request and to do it as a furnished rental. So it's a 60-day contract starting July 1st. So we ended up taking that. We didn't close the door on that other company. We're still in talks with them. We just kind of told them to regroup, and they can come back, when it's open back up. But if that works out, that could be
huge,
like a pretty long contract. I mean, it wasn't ideal for what we want to do because we wouldn't have access to the house anymore. We wouldn't be able to use it.
It's going to change some things.
Yeah, it's not, we built this with a midterm rental in mind and intention. And there's a lot of things that we did to make the house more efficient. Like, we spent a lot more on an HVAC system than we maybe would have if somebody else was paying the bill.
Right.
So things like that were like, it was going to help our operations in terms of bringing the cost down. We spent a lot more up front, but the operational costs are a lot lower. We may not benefit from that, but a deal like this may make sense because it could be very lucrative and be a long-term deal. This could be, something that's goes on for the next 10, 15 years at a higher than market rent. So, if it's something where it's going to rent for more than we're making now, then it could definitely
it could still be worth it,
and make sense. So, really, really it's an investment property. So the idea is to make the best return on investment as possible. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll update you guys as that goes along. But we did get our first guest, so that's exciting.
Very exciting.
We have this habit. A lot of people say this is a bad idea and we shouldn't do this, but we do this every single time. We list our properties before they're ready. And every single time, we'll have a start date that's a little in the future, but it kind of gives us like, okay, yeah, we can have the property ready by then. We always end up getting booking, and then now we got to get it ready.
Go time.
So we're always down to the wire.
Here
I feel
we
like
go again.
every single midterm rental property we have done this, and we have gotten a booking before it was done. Like we're in the middle of construction and we're taking bookings, and we're down to the wire. A lot of times we're finishing it up as people are rolling into the driveway.
Literally rolling into the driveway.
Like that's happened multiple times.
Yeah. And this one, I feel like there's not as much to do, but I feel like we always say that, and it's still like just all those little things.
There's little
start
things.
To add up.
So the construction,
it's
like all the permits are signed off, but there's still things that aren't part of the permits. That's just like little finishing touches that need to be gone through. Paint touch-ups. There's some tile work in the front patio.
Yeah.
We still got some landscaping to finish up.
The backyard, little kitchen area.
Oh, there's still, there's the outdoor kitchen we're working on finishing up. We still have to get that signed off. That's a separate permit. So we still got to get that completed and get countertops on it. And there's still quite a bit of stuff that needs to be done before moving.
In a very short amount of time.
And all the furniture and everything. And so it's still going to be hustle, go. And people say like, industry experts say you shouldn't be doing this, and maybe we shouldn't, but if we have a property that's rented before it's even available, I don't think that's a bad thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing at all financially. I think maybe for our sanity, it's not the best thing.
Maybe not. But
I mean, we get like.
But I think people are like, you shouldn't be doing that because you don't have a property that's ready. Like, what if it's not ready? Like, we always get it ready. We've never missed. Never missed. So
no.
we don't set goals that are not attainable. There may be a bit of a push, but we've never had anybody.
We're still realistic with it.
Yeah, we never had anybody that like canceled or were upset when they got there because it wasn't done enough or whatever. Like we're pretty reasonable with what we set for ourselves with these goals. But having a property, especially a property like this one, our carrying costs are $12,000 a month on this property. So we definitely want to have it rented as soon as it's ready. So to have it rented already before it's even done is a pretty big win for us, just because the carrying costs are just killing us at this point, because it hasn't generated any income. It's just been
for a long time
sucking the cash. So that's good. So that's like another burden off our plate, off our back. So that's
Absolutely.
just one more thing, one more win, one more little win this year.
Couple little wins.
So
it's nice. I'll take some more.
Yeah. And so we're going to be talking today about midterm rentals, because this is a big part of the business that we're building right now. We do a lot of things in business and in real estate, but the midterm model is something that we're really leaning into right now, both with our own properties and with co-hosting. And, we just started doing, we've only been doing this for 2 years. From the very beginning, we just started with a little studio. Now we've got 2 large properties that are renting. One of them's got 4 units on it. We're getting ready we're actually moving. We have a long-term rental property that we're getting ready to move to. The tenant's lease ends the middle of this month, and then we'll be moving into that property and working on that one. I did do renovations on that one about 10 years ago. Well, maybe between 6 and 10. I think I finished them about 6 years ago and then started renting it. Been rental 7 years. 2016. When was it 2016? Oh, 9 years ago. It's been around for 9 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I guess it's been almost 10 years since I renovated that, but it's still like a nice property. Doesn't need a whole lot. But what we're going to do with that one is we're going to redevelop it. So we're going to try to add 2 ADUs, which will be midterm rentals. And then once we get that portion done, we're going to kind of redevelop the whole property, change the look of it, and then probably redo a lot of the inside, maybe make some additions and kind of revitalize it. And we'll see.
Freshen it up a bit.
Yeah, we may do it in stages. We may just get the ADUs done and then get everything renting. And then
we'll be living there again while we.
Yeah, we'll see.
Do this.
Yeah. So, but the idea is to have 3 units on that property, and with midterm rentals that should make between 10 to 12, maybe even a little more. I would say probably 12,000 with the brand new ADUs. They're 1 bedrooms. We'll probably make 12, maybe even 12 to 14 on midterm.
Yeah.
So there's a property across the street that's the same size as that one that rents for like 8,000 or 8,500. on the main house, and then you had a couple ADUs to that, would probably be in that 13 to 14. So all 3 properties will actually be renting for about the same amount of money. I mean,
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, when this one's done, we'll be collecting about $45,000 a month in rentals. So things could change for us like pretty quickly. It's just getting through this last one. But now that we got this second one done, I mean, I was just looking at our Airbnb. So our booked transactions in the month of July, we are scheduled to collect $33,000 in rent.
That is wild.
From 2 properties.
Wild.
2 properties and a little bit of co-hosting.
Obviously mortgages on all these, so it's not straight revenue.
One of our properties isn't available that month for co-hosting. So really that's a little bit of co-hosting, but not a whole lot. Yeah. So we have some other properties coming to market. So that could be a few more thousand. It could be 35,000 by the time July rolls around.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for just kind of starting this business and rolling this out. And
yeah,
I mean, most of this goes, like you said, to mortgages. And so,
right.
We've been covering these mortgages right now. So,
it's helpful.
All of a sudden, not having a lot coming in, all of a sudden having $35,000 in 1 month come in is going to help a lot in covering all these carrying costs that we've been carrying. Right. So that'd be nice, and it'll also help. This project that's getting finished up and rented. It's slated for a refi later this year. So once we have that generating income, that'll make it a lot easier to refinance into a DSCR loan. So that'll be the plan on that one.
Definitely.
Just a quick disclaimer. The information shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions. Your individual circumstances may differ and require specific strategies not discussed here. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, so let's kind of go into some of what we're talking about. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about marketing our midterm rentals.
All right, so we're going to go into a few things, but kind of setting up your listing, figuring out your listing, and if your property is going to work for this, and then setting it up. And we talked about kind of how we set up our properties, the actual how we what we put into them, how we operate, and some of that thing. But we're going to talk more about the marketing, because a lot of people will set up
have great properties.
Have great properties. They'll set it up, and then crickets.
Nothing.
They don't get bookings, and they're like, why is nobody booking this? What's going on? I see it so much in all the groups we're in. Like, people just think they're going to do this, throw it out there. So here's the difference, the misconception. Everybody thinks Airbnb, like a short-term Airbnb, you just put it on Airbnb and it's going to rent and you're going to make all kinds of money. With midterm, it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different market. And also with just the short-term stuff, it's really kind of diminishing. They're so saturated. So you've got to really stand out now. You can't just put any property on there and make a bunch of money. You got to have a better product than everybody else. And so it's gotten a little more competitive. Also, we see a lot of people that are making the switch from short-term to midterm because their cities are shutting down mid or short-term rentals. They're making STRs, illegal or really, really hard to get a permit to be able to operate. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are being forced to switch to midterm because long-term, they got these properties they bought in the last few years. They've got high interest rates. Long-term rent, they're going to lose money. It's not going to actually cover their costs. Right. They may not have equity right now to be able to sell, or they don't want to sell for whatever reason. Maybe it's tax implications, or it's just not what their plan was. So they're trying to get into this to make the switch into midterm, and they just switch their calendar to 30-day.
And it's different than that.
And they switch it to 30-day, and then they're not getting bookings, and they're like, why am I not getting bookings?
Why? I had short-term bookings. Why is this not happening now for midterm?
So it's a lot different. And once you figure, we have so many leads coming in. We get about 5.
We can't place them all.
I would say we probably get about 10 leads for every placement that we do at the minimum. So for every booking we get 10 leads that we have to turn away because we don't have properties for them. And so that's why we're trying to build our co-hosting network, is because the more properties we have to offer, the more leads we get, because we'll get leads on our properties and then we'll flip them over to the co-hosted properties. And we've done this before, and then given a booking to one of our co-hosted properties because our property was already filled and somebody had requested it, but like, hey, I got this property.
Right.
And so we're able to, so the more properties we get, the more of those leads that we get on our properties that are already booked, and we can try to turn them over to one of our available properties.
Absolutely.
So I feel like the more that as we build this portfolio of co-hosted properties, it just brings in more leads, more leads, more leads. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we're doing because we're getting an overflow of leads, whereas other people are getting crickets and not getting leads at all. So hopefully this will kind of help give some ideas to people on how you can get more leads coming in.
Definitely.
All right. So the first thing is, how do you know if an MTR is going to work in your market? So does it work everywhere?
No.
Where is it good at?
I mean, it's good in areas that are close to colleges, close to hospitals, close to, I would say, areas that have a lot of corporate offices, right?
Yeah, a lot of commerce. We get a lot of
commerce,
that.
yeah.
So if you got, cities, this is not something that works really in rural. So it's definitely going to have to be like, with a short-term vacation rental, you might get like, for example, in California, there's, Big Bear. There's a lot of short-term rentals in Big Bear because it's kind of a summer and a winter destination type thing, vacation destination. I don't know. And now I'm sure there's our MTRs up there, and I'm sure that there are people doing okay, but I don't know how much of a need there is up there. Those digital nomads, might get people looking to escape where they're at and go somewhere for a few months. I don't know how much, again, that's not a market that we are familiar with. So I don't know. Maybe there is a good market for it. I don't know.
If you have midterm rentals in that area, let us know if we're correct on this.
But I would think like somewhere like that may or may not be as good, because what do you do in those off months? So maybe you do get summer bookings and midwinter bookings, but what about the spring and the fall? So the thing with midterm is you don't have vacancy like you do with the short term. Short term is kind of seasonal, or you have these during the middle of the week. With a midterm, you're getting a booking for 60 days, 90 days straight with no vacancy, boom, all the way through. So yeah, the summer months are always easy to fill. And if you're somewhere like that, maybe the winter months are easy to get to get bookings. But when it's just rainy and crappy weather, are you getting people going up there?
Right. You want the entire year booked, not just...
You're really just relying on insurance placements. So like families that are displaced for a flood or fire or something like that, that's really all you have going at that point. And depending on how many people are operating, it's going to be...
Maybe someone renovating a house and...
Yeah, but it's probably not as much as you have. So I think like bigger metropolitan areas are going to be better for midterm rentals because you've got, you do have the displaced families from insurance leads. You have commerce. So you've got people moving for work. And, a lot of times companies will pay for somebody to go, come to start a new job, and they'll pay for your first 2 to 3 months for a house to live in with your family until you find something. And we've gotten multiple guests that were in that situation.
Yeah. Areas that are... what's the right word? Not turnover, but just redeveloping, right? That are maybe a lot of older homes that are getting redone because we know that the construction...
Right. So you get the renovations.
Going through that, the renovation
so
families.
They need a place. And I think some of these places you may not have that, or Big Bear may be more of a second home type place.
Right.
So people have another home where they're going to go while those renovations are being done. So I we could be wrong, but it's a different market. So you really want a metropolitan area. Again, this is not necessarily what would be good for a short-term rental, because short-term rental, you think by the beach or in the mountains or like these vacation destinations. Sure. This is not vacation home per se. There are still some people that we get that are vacationers for a couple months at a time, like snowbirds and stuff like that. But it's not what you really... I mean, if you're just relying on that, you're going to have vacancies. So you really want something that's going to appeal to everybody. So you got to think, is there a lot of commerce and jobs around the area that people could be getting relocated for work? Are there a lot of people? So, we live in a city of 110,000 people, which is a decent sized city. So there's always something, there's always a displaced family for a flood or fire. We know people, we've been displaced. Like there's always families that need a home because something happened and their insurance company is trying to place them into a home. So the more people you have the more population you have, the more chances of those needs are going to come up. And then also we have a lot of international travel. There's a lot of schools around us for both medical and just trade. So we'll have international students coming for internships. We'll have for trade schools, clinical rotations. We do get travel nurses in some of our smaller smaller studios.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have travel nurses because we're close to hospitals. We're close to an airport. So
I was just going to say the airport, I think, is important too.
Yeah, that's a big one because,
Yeah.
a lot of international people coming into this airport and it's close and easy.
Yeah.
They don't have to get a $100 Uber to try to get to where they're going. So it's a really good central location. So it's really more about convenience than it is destination or vacation. Now, we do live close enough to the beach where we do get some of that as well. So we're only 10 miles from the beach. So being, almost a beach city, we do get some of those, we'll have people from colder climates from Canada.
Right.
We've had people from Canada that come for 3 months just to get away from the cold during the wintertime. They'll come like February to April. So we do get some of that as well. Property that's going to appeal to as many people as possible to help keep that booked. So really starting with the neighborhood to see if the MTR is going to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
As far as seeing if the numbers make sense, don't rely on something like AirDNA. So I know with short-term rentals, that's real big in evaluating properties is you go to AirDNA, you plug in the address.
I thought that was a typo in your notes when I saw it.
No, it's called AirDNA.
I almost changed it.
So it tells you like what your nightly rate would be based on the comps in the area.
Okay.
For midterm rental, and I know it does do that, and a lot of people use this for midterm rentals, but I don't think that it's going to be super accurate because there's not as much data out there. And when you're using AI for this type of thing, all it can do is go off of the data that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to comprehensively think like who's going to be using this, and it's not going to decipher, this is not going to be vacationers versus like, what are the jobs like in the area? What are the chances of, people remodeling, all this stuff that may get there, but it's not there right now. So I think relying on something like that's probably not going to be your best bet. Your best bet is to go onto Airbnb, pick a month that's in an off-season month and put in 30 days and find out what pulls up. You can quickly see who's advertising as a short-term rental versus a midterm rental because the short-term rentals a lot of times will have a monthly rate and it shows the nightly crossed out and it shows the discounted rate for monthly. They're typically not looking or marketing for monthly rates, and their pricing may not be what the market rate is for this business model. But if you see one that's just has a monthly price and it's not marked down, that's usually somebody that's only doing 30 days. So when you go into that calendar, it'll say minimum 30-day booking. So you want to look at the actual people that are doing 30-day stay only. So it's called Airbnb monthly stays. You want to look for those listings when you're comping out. We use Furnish Finder for a lot of comps too because it's easier to find.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's doing 30-day stays on there. So we'll do that, and we'll just look for the houses and then put in the bedroom count that matches what we're trying to comp out. So Furnish Finder is really good for that. And then we'll do Zillow too. We'll look at Zillow and see what long-term rents are in the area. And then we'll add a factor of 1.5. Because usually midterm rental rates are going to be at least 1.5 of what long-term unfurnished rents are. So we'll kind of use that as a metric to figure out, okay, this is what it should rent for. And then we'll use comps from both Airbnb and Furnish Finder. And then we'll kind of take the average. So when we're co-hosting, when we're looking at evaluating a property for somebody, and we do these property analysis, that's how we do it. So we'll do a property analysis. We'll take all these numbers and then we'll figure out the average and be like, this is the range of what you should be able to get, depending on how it's, renovated and designed and like interior design and everything. And that's worked pretty good. We've been pretty spot on all of our comps and what we're able to get for properties and keep them rented.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, I would say make sure you have a listing that really stands out, something that's highly renovated, something that has a well-designed interior is going to be really important. Really creating more of that like dream home type aesthetic, right?
And that's the name of our company, Rebuilding the Dream. So we our concept is that we take old houses and we turn them into dream homes and then we rent them. Which is unusual because most people that are doing this are flipping, but we do this and we have this beautiful product and it's available for rent. So we've actually had people reach out. We had somebody reach out at the beginning of May trying to rent the house we were finishing up, and they would only live in something new. They would not live in.
That was
they're
weird.
like,
I had not heard that
they're
one
like,
before.
I'll only live in a brand new home. And we actually
Brand
had
new.
that from a couple people. They
Yeah,
had to be
multiple.
they had to be the first person to live in the house. And it really, really wanted it. And we're like, it's not ready. We're getting permits, signed off in the next couple of weeks.
Mhm.
We can have it ready. I think we told them like 3 weeks or like 2 or 3 weeks. We can have it ready, but it's not furnished yet. Like this is when we can have it ready. And it wouldn't work. They were like, we're in a hotel
Yeah,
now. We're here for a
timeline.
4-month contract, and they were going to rent it for 4 months with a possible 4-month extension, which would have been nice, but they had to have it right away and they couldn't wait.
Did they end up finding? They didn't end up.
They ended up finding something.
Was it brand new?
But then they reached back out and said, hey, is that still available?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, but not until this, we had changed the dates of availability based on when we were getting permits signed off, and didn't hear back from them. And then it got booked last week.
I wonder if they ended up finding something brand new, or if it was,
or maybe they came back and just saw that it was booked and they just took too long to pull the trigger. I don't know.
Because that is not a filter when you're searching. I don't think, right?
What's not a filter?
Brand new?
Oh, no. So, but that's the thing is
before?
Having something brand new and having it well designed, you're going to stand out better. So another part, and I know we talked about this last time, is getting professional photography, because you really want your listing to stand out. And another thing is your first 5 photos are the most important. When you're searching through properties, the first 5 photos on Airbnb and a lot of these sites show the first 5 photos. And that's all you can see until you click into it. So you want your first 5 photos to be like your showcase photos.
And we have learned too, when you upload photos, you have to go back and check them, because Airbnb will like rearrange the photo. Like how they're laid out, basically. It won't necessarily upload them or show them in order. You have to go back through and actually like pick your first 5.
Yeah, and like Zillow, a lot of these sites will change.
Yeah, you have to go back, because I've seen some of the listings you've done, and I'm like, why would he choose that for a cover photo?
Like on Zillow, I'll put this cover photo, and then when it publishes it redoes it, and then it'll send the email out with like a picture of a toilet or something.
Yeah,
it's like,
so
I'm like,
weird.
Oh gosh, you
Like,
got to be kidding me.
That?
So annoying.
I got to figure out their algorithm on that.
Yeah, but I will say, like, since we started using software, at least for like Airbnb and VRBO, it does help, because you don't get stuck with Airbnb's like photo collage that they try to make you do, and they use AI to like rearrange everything, and it's really annoying. But having a third-party software will kind of eliminate some of those frustrations, I feel like.
Definitely. I think too, the price point per area, right? I think we've learned that it's okay to be on the high end as long as you're still in the right price range and that you have a better product.
Yeah, so we're usually at the top end of our price range, and sometimes even set the market with higher price points, because we're renovating properties top to bottom. This one that we just finished up, it was a complete cut job, and we rebuilt this into a magnificently like beautiful dream home. So it shows really well, and there's nothing else like it.
Very high-end appliances, everything's, I mean, it's, this
is not something people would normally do for a rental property.
Right.
So we're able to command a much higher rental price, and we are.
And we're setting the tone for...
We're kind of setting the market on it.
Yeah,
and it's renting because, one, that's 5 bedrooms, and there's not a lot of 5 bedrooms in the area. So that's another thing to think about too.
Bedroom count.
Is find out what is most needed in the area. 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom. In our area, 3 bedrooms are the most popular, because that's what most people in the area have. I think I want to say 60% of our city is 3 bedrooms. So that means that that's the demographic. Most people have 1 or 2 kids, and that's kind of the demographic. So that's what the largest need is. So whether people are moving here, coming into town, whatever, or they're displaced, you got a 60% chance that a displaced family is coming from a 3 bedroom. So that's what they're going to need. That's what the insurance company is going to pay for.
Right.
Now, with 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom, it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. But what we've found is the 5 bedrooms, there's not as much demand for it. But when somebody needs a 5 bedroom,
there's 1 or 2 options.
There's actually 3 options, and we own all 3, or we own 2 of them and control the other one. So like at least in our area, for 5 bedrooms, if you need a 5 bedroom, you're coming to us, because we control all of them. Like one of them is a co-hosted one.
Reach out to us.
Yeah. So, I think it was a little nerve-wracking, because there's not as much demand coming. We don't see as many requests for it. But I think what we're finding is that there's nothing else. So when somebody needs a 5 bedroom, and there's going to be people that need a 5 bedroom, they don't have a lot of options. And we've got the best option for a 5 bedroom. So it definitely stands out.
It'll be interesting to see with the other property once we get that kind of all set up as a midterm because that's a 4-bedroom. So we don't have any 4-bedrooms as of right now. So it'll be interesting to see how a 4-bedroom does.
We had requests because we had the other property that that is advertised as a 4-bedroom, and we still get 4-bedroom requests.
That's true.
But not as many. But when we do,
more than 5 bedrooms.
I'd say about the same.
Okay.
Yeah. But when we get them, it's like we're probably one of the few options that actually have that. So.
Yeah. I do agree.
So yeah, so having being priced on the high end is okay as long as you don't want to price yourself out of the market because you're not going to get leads. But being on the high end is okay if you've got the value. So we've got a value product that we put out in all of our properties. They show very well. One of our properties, the other one that we've been running for a little over a year now, we just had some celebrities staying there, which was kind of a cool thing.
That was really cool.
It was an unfortunate situation that they were here. It's not like they chose probably not the first place they wanted to be, but just having a high enough caliber home to be able to cater to people that are coming from very nice homes and be able to give them something comfortable for the time that they were here and the situation that they were dealing with.
They had great things to say about it, which was really nice to hear. Yeah. They loved it.
Yeah, and they were very, very cool people. Yeah. We would welcome them back anytime.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably won't choose to come back to Costa Mesa and stay here, but
probably not.
So that was kind of cool. And, we put up athletes in our properties. We've had athletes. We've had multiple athletes requests. We've only been able to accommodate a couple Team USA members last summer.
Yeah.
And we've had some other athletes reach out and just we haven't had availability. But so just having a higher value product can command those higher rates.
Absolutely, it can. One of my favorites, reviews.
You're the review person. You do all of our reviews because you write really good reviews.
I love doing reviews. I was big into Yelp for a while, writing reviews.
Wait, were you one of those Yelp people that got invited to all the...
No, I never made it. I didn't do enough of those. Like our friend, Yelp elite.
We have a friend, Marco, who was a Yelp elite and would get invited.
He would go everywhere, I feel like.
Him and his wife live in Scottsdale, and he would get invited to LA to this big Yelp event because he was would review so many restaurants, and it was they would do really good, thorough reviews.
They traveled a ton too, so they would do places all over. we didn't go out enough to.
But he would get invited to these exclusive events and fly to LA for these.
Yeah. No, so I was not a elite Yelper or Yelp elite, whatever it's called. I just genuinely, I like giving credit when things have been great. I love, I'm that person that will write a letter to, I called Trader Joe's one time because I had such a great experience. I called their store, then I emailed corporate to let them know about this amazing experience I had. And this kind of ties into what we'll get into with an experience. But I think if you have an incredible experience, I love to give credit for that. But on the flip side, if I do not have a good experience, I like to make it known. But I will say, after now being on the flip side of receiving reviews, I now have a little bit of a different perspective of that, of how that can hurt a business.
So maybe a 3-star instead of a 1-star.
Yeah. I was a little aggressive with it, but let's see. I do all of our reviews. Try to be honest with them.
And reviews in midterm is so important because reviews can kill your listing. If you have bad reviews, the algorithms are gonna push you down. People aren't gonna want to stay there because
think about it. Midterm, you're gonna get
4, maybe 6 a year.
I was gonna say at most you could get would be 12, but realistically you're not gonna get 12. You're likely gonna.
Well, you're not gonna have that much turnaround. So you might get 10 if you get 30, but you're gonna have 2-3 months stays. So typically you're gonna get 4, maybe 6 at the most review opportunities.
As we're short term, you can get so many.
Right, you can get hundreds in a year, but
doesn't matter.
But with midterm, you don't have as many opportunities. So especially starting out with a listing, you really have to bend over backwards and make sure you're giving these guests a very good experience. And I feel like this is a big disconnect with both short-term and long-term renters coming into the midterm space where they kind of miss the boat on this. I think short-term people have so many reviews that one bad review is not going to hurt them. Mm-hmm. But you get into midterm and they have that mentality and it's I'm not going to bend over for this guest or whatever. and they don't want to give us guest experience, or they think it's a problem guest. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but they're not willing to
Go
be
above and
hospitable and be
beyond
above and beyond to
Mhm.
make sure they're having a good experience and getting a good review, because they just don't view the importance of it. And then on the flip side, you get long-term landlords that try to do midterm, and they just want somebody to get in there, sign a contract for 3 months, whatever, and just forget about it. And they don't,
Yeah.
you still have touch points. You still have to make sure you're giving these people a good experience, similar to a short-term stay,
Mhm.
but that's not what they're used to. So they don't have an importance on it. And it can really affect you.
Yeah. You have to strive for a 5-star review. I mean, otherwise it can hurt you so bad so quickly. I mean, one bad review is going to change everything.
Yeah. And not all your leads are going to come from, like VRBO and Airbnb where reviews are so important,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to be a lot of it. I mean, still a majority of our bookings come from Airbnb. Now we have a lot of other marketing funnels to Airbnb too. So we bring a lot of other leads in, but you still get at least half of the bookings directly from Airbnb. So it's still extremely important.
Right. I think too, was this in the book you were reading, Unreasonable Hospitality? I mean, we were doing this
Yes.
before reading this book, but really just going above and beyond. I've talked, like, I have been in sales and customer service industry for a long time. That's something that I really is very important to me, is going above and beyond. But it's the small things that really make a difference for your guests, and making sure that they are having a good experience. Don't be a landlord, right?
Yeah.
And don't be a bad landlord for sure.
Yeah,
we've all had those.
And it's really about not just going above and beyond and having like a great house and having it all set up right and giving what they need, like little things like experience things, or just little extra things. Like, for example, the celebrities that we had staying, they were here because their son got in a spring break accident.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came out to help him with getting to classes and things and finishing out the semester. But you had made a gift basket with like cookies and some things just to kind of like welcome them. And obviously they weren't
things from around here. They weren't from here.
It was
so.
they weren't from here. They were from the East Coast. And so it was like local. I think it was do you have a local wine and some local?
Yeah, I just did like a bunch of local. That was like a really
local
cute
vendors,
little gift
candles
shop
and
that I
stuff.
love. That everything was very much tailored to around here, and giving them like, idea. We obviously have a book for all of our properties of restaurant recommendations and all of that, but I wanted to kind of go above and beyond, and we did like gift cards to like our favorite coffee shop that they could go to, and just little things like that.
Yeah, so it wasn't, again, maybe to them like money didn't mean much, but just the thought of giving them like a local immersion experience and trying to make them feel comfortable while they were here with the situation that they were in. So just little things like that.
And I think too, anytime we've had anything that we've had to do on the properties, right? We talk a lot about the last property where they stayed. That was one that, we had guests in some of the units while we still had some construction going on in other units. And so for that, we try to just do things to make it up to them. And
so we'll usually send like an Uber gift card or something just to
anytime
make
there's
it
like maintenance that needs to happen on the property.
Anytime they're inconvenienced.
Right.
Yeah. So we had like one of the units, there was a sink that got backed up, and it was a studio and a little kitchenette, and the guest staying there wasn't able to use their washing machine, their
sink,
the bathroom sink, kitchen sink.
Felt so bad.
They had their shower in the toilet, luckily, but they couldn't use those. I wasn't able to snake it. It was a really complicated sewer issue. I wasn't able to do it. The plumbers couldn't get their told doing the next day.
I'm going to stop you right there for a second, though. I think that's something else, is being very communicative and being on it with your messaging, because we saw that and you were over there. I mean, we obviously checked with him, but you were over there within like 15 minutes.
No, I would say like 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay.
But I was there.
You saw it.
I was there at like 9 o'clock at night and went and tried to.
I'm like,
hey, I'll try to clear this if I can. If not, a plumber can't be out there till noon tomorrow. But, I couldn't. It was a really complicated thing. I stuck a snake down the sink and it came up into the other unit because of the way that this sewer is a really complicated why. And the guy came out. He's like, "Hey, are you trying to?" He's like, "Yeah, your snake's coming up into that." I was like, "Oh gosh, this is so embarrassing."
Snake did?
I
didn't realize
it went up.
That.
It was like because I was like, why is
Didn't
this
it get
why is this going so far? And it was like 15 feet up and then over into the shower. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm making a mess of this. I was like, all right,
Didn't
this is,
realize
I
it was-
can't figure this out. I mean, the plumbers came and it took them 3 hours to figure it out.
Yeah.
It was really complicated. So I didn't feel so stupid, but still, like, to have like a celebrity come over and be like, hey, are you, sorry,
Is that you?
your snake's coming like 10 feet up. And it's like, I was like, oh shoot.
But really, I mean, that brings me to that point is like how important it is to be on it with your messaging, because if something is wrong, you don't want to be that host that's not getting back to them right away.
Yeah, like
you
waiting
need
24 hours to get back to
You
people.
have
Like,
to have your
that's-
notifications on, make sure you're
Yeah.
responding in a very timely manner. I think that that's something, whether it's a request that comes in or just a need that a guest has.
That's a good point. So we always
Yeah.
give our phone numbers, both of our personal cell
Mhm.
phone, to everybody that checks in.
Yeah.
So they can message us on the app or they can call or text us.
They don't usually do our.
They do when it's midnight and there's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
So we had that with a co-hosted property,
Oh, yeah.
actually.
I think we talked about that on.
Yeah, it was a water softener and it was making this loud noise. And I was able to, they tried to text and didn't.
I thought someone
respond.
had died.
And then they called and then like called twice. So it like came through on the phone and like didn't recognize the phone number. But I was like, something's wrong. So I answered it and it was one of the guests. And they're like, hey, something's so like
No, they
wrong.
called me because you didn't answer.
Oh, is that what it was?
It was, yeah, it's how you have your phone set up. You don't get any, it's like on airplane mode.
Oh,
So you don't get anything. So I got the 2 calls
yeah.
back to back. And I was like, who is calling me? And yeah, I was.
Yeah, but we were able to assess the
Yeah, we got it
situation. I was
figured
able to Google real quick and like show a little video and show them how to shut the system down and bypass it. And so I didn't have to go over there, but I was able to like fix it until I could get over there and assess the situation the next day. But if they couldn't get a hold of us and they didn't know how to stop the issue, it was just making this really loud noise that they couldn't sleep. It was waking everybody up. And so just being available and making sure that you are available to be able to communicate with people and resolve issues that pop up.
Yeah, I think that's
huge.
Really, really important for sure. All right, moving on to where to market. Take the lead on this
so
one.
where to market. So for us, we start with Airbnb because Airbnb is the top listing platform in terms of one, just traffic on it. But they have the most robust system or platform out of anybody. So it's a big company. They've got a lot of money. They put the most money into constantly redoing the site, re-optimizing everything. They're always working on the algorithms and, the marketing. And so that like you have to have a good Airbnb listing because that's where most of your business is going to come from. And then we start with Airbnb and then everything else mimics that. So from there, we'll push it out to VRBO and a lot of other smaller sites. And, so Airbnb is definitely the most important in this business. So, and I know a lot of people talk about you don't want to rely on Airbnb and you got to build your own direct bookings. That's more of a short-term thing. With midterm, we don't really get repeat customers. We do actually have some repeat customers. Some of these people that come.
Yeah, that's not the norm though.
But for the most part, these are people that are using this property for one time. They're moving here. They just need it at the beginning. They're displaced. They're remodeling. You're not going to get a lot of repeat business. So
they might extend their stay.
And we do get some like interns and things like that do repeat. But for the most part, it's not a vacation that people are taking once a year. And so you're not really going to be able to build up your own book of business as easily. Now, we do get off-platform bookings through our network and other marketing, and we'll talk about those. But still, Airbnb is going to be your catalyst in getting this going. So you really have to make sure that your listing is really optimized on Airbnb to capture as many eyeballs as possible.
I think too, with that, making sure that all of your amenities are listed that other people might not have. Like the top one for me is an EV charger.
And you need to put it in there as an amenity because if it's not, you just putting it in your listing doesn't help. But you actually have to click it on
filters
in order for people to filter it and find it in the searches. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of the ones that are really important for us, obviously EV charger. When we had those 2 separate times that we were displaced, neither one of those properties had a charger. And if you have an electric vehicle, that is really, really inconvenient. And not a lot of people do have chargers.
Yeah.
We've noticed. So at least in our area, which is kind of crazy.
All of our properties have that. And we have recommend all of our co-hosted properties to add one or at least put it in your listing add the amenity and then put in the listing EV charging available upon request.
Yep.
So that way if somebody is coming in with an EV, then you can install it at that point, but just be ready to do that, because that might be the difference between getting a good booking and not, you know.
I mean, I think too, like we have a lot of charging areas near us that maybe people think that, oh, you know, there's a charging station close by, you don't need to worry about it, but it really does make a big difference. And I would
unless
say,
somebody has free charging, like with an older Tesla, which we actually had a guest that was there for 3 months and only used the charger once.
Yeah.
Because they had the free charging. But most people don't have that, have that grandfathered in. And so it's really an inconvenience.
Especially if you have young kids.
And it's not, it doesn't, I mean, it's a time thing,
right.
but it costs more to go to a supercharger than it does to just charge at home at night.
Right.
So if you just plug in at night and it's ready in the morning, you're saving money. And so the way we do it, we use the Tesla universal charger. So it works for Teslas. It works for any other car with a J adapter without having to use an extra adapter. So it's just built in.
Yeah.
But we use the Tesla one because we have the Tesla app and it shows the charging history. So we're able to quickly pull the report for the month, and then we just charge them for the additional usage. So it's not included in the stay, and we make that very known that it is extra.
Right.
But it's just a convenience factor.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you, hands down, if I'm looking at 2 properties and one has a charging station and one doesn't, I'm definitely choosing the one with the charger.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
That's a big difference for us.
Second one, that's probably, actually, this one might be more important. Bigger. It's probably bigger. Pets.
Yeah.
Not big to us because we don't have them, but
we allow it in all our properties.
We allow it.
And I would say about 90% of our,
if not more,
our property. So not the studios, but like the 3-bedroom or more,
house ones.
The actual houses. 90% of our guests have had either a cat or a dog.
Yep.
And so and we charge extra for it. We charge $7 per day, so it's $210 a month fee for this. You know, unless it's like a service animal, then we obviously we get the proper documentation on that. And we do actually follow up, make sure we actually get the proper documentation, because people will try to go online or just say they have an ESA or a service animal. Like if it's not documented or they don't have an actual letter from a certified doctor or from a licensed doctor that says that they need the support animal, then we don't accept it, because that's not, you know, they used to be able to do this, but they changed the laws a few years ago in California. Because people would just go online, pay, $50, $90 or whatever, get a fake ESA letter, and then say, "Oh, I got this," but that's not how it works anymore.
Well, we accept them, but we can't charge the pet fee.
Right? No, but I'm saying there has to be a legitimate ESA animal or service animal. Like if it's not, like we do actually follow up to make sure that it's coming from a licensed doctor. They have to have a letter. They have to sign it. And they started doing that because there was so many people just getting fake letters online, and then nobody could say anything about it. But now it has to be signed by a doctor. That doctor's putting their license on the line, because if that's not legitimate, and they have to they can't just get one. It takes 30 days minimum to get it. And they have to do multiple appointments with the doctor to make sure that they actually need this support animal. And so it's gotten a lot harder for people to just get that fraudulently.
Right.
But it actually is it's actually a federal crime if you say you have a service animal, and it's not. Absolutely. It's a jail time. Yeah. So we actually take that very seriously. One, because we're letting an animal into our house that's going to cause more cleaning, regardless of how well behaved it is. It's going to have hair. There's going to be more cleaning. So we do charge the extra $7 per day because of the additional cleaning. And it also covers incidentals, little things that maybe get broken or whatever, small repairs to the landscaping or the grass. The tenants are still, the guests are still responsible. So if they destroy the grass or destroy furniture or something, they're still responsible for paying it. Yeah. But the $7 a day just covers the incidentals and additional cleaning costs that we're going to incur. I mean, we end up throwing more stuff away, like on some of the reusable linens that we would normally launder, not the sheets and stuff, but we've had like mattress protector that was just full of hair. I don't know how when it's under the sheets, but I just didn't even bother washing it and threw it away.
And we've talked about this, but Josh is allergic to both cats and dog, to the dander.
But dogs so much. It's more cats.
So he's someone who's very affected by it. So that's something that we're very aware of too, is ensuring that the house is cleaned very, very well with the turnover, and
so
inspecting something so thoroughly so that the next guest, if they are allergic, that's not going to affect them
absolutely.
in any capacity, because I mean, I obviously don't have the allergy, but watching you,
Yeah.
like it hits you quickly
Yeah.
when you walk into a house.
I can walk in and like somebody's got
Yeah,
cats.
your eyes are immediately red. You're
Yeah.
sneezing. Baby cribs or pack and play, something
Yeah.
for a baby to be in, a high
And this
chair.
you don't have to have on site, but you need to have available
upon request.
So if somebody has, if you don't actually have it, you need to be prepared to go and buy this and provide this. Another thing is a baby high chair.
Yeah, same thing.
And
available.
We didn't talk about this earlier, but a baby gate. So if you
right.
do have stairs, you should have a baby gate available.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Hot tub or pool, if you have one either on the property or in your community, depending on what type of property you have.
Yeah, make sure that amenity is listed and checked and showing available on there.
Self check-in.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
So self check-in is one of the main amenities that people look for. It's one of the top ones, which is weird.
That is kind of weird.
But I think
I've never like.
So I mean, if you think like, I remember when I first started getting like VRBOs, like back in the day, before Airbnb, you know, it started out, there wasn't all these like Wi-Fi locks and everything. And you would have to, they either have a lockbox code somewhere, which we actually have on one of our properties because it's a slider. But I remember going to Hawaii, and it was like this condo on the beach, like this condo building. But you had to go to the, like, park on the street, go to the fence, this chain link fence, and there was like 30 lock boxes because everybody had locks. Every condo had the lockbox, and you had to find the right lockbox, put the code in, and it would open the gate just to get into the parking lot. And then you'd have the key to go inside. It's like, so I think just the like bad experiences like that, or having to meet somebody to get the keys, or go to a front desk, get the key. Like, it's just so much easier to just show up. You already got the code, get in, and it's just such a convenience. I think that's a kind of a requirement these days.
Absolutely. Instant book.
Instant book. We'll talk more about this probably in the next episode. Instant book is scary for a lot of people on the midterm side, because
we were scared of it for a while.
Yeah, and we're just now starting to get into this. Instant book, I want to say, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's like 50% of people on Airbnb. Now this is short term and midterm, but like 50% of the people booking search for instant book properties.
I think it was higher.
It might have been like 60. I think it was 60%.
It was 60.
Now again, I think that was short term and midterm. I don't know how that relates to midterm so much. It may not be as high on the midterm side. But 60% of people are searching for only instant book properties. So if you don't have that, you are actually losing a lot of visibility. I don't know the exact numbers for midterm, but I'm sure there's still people that are only looking for instant book. So I think that it's probably a pretty important feature. And now there's some extra precautions you need to take if you're turning instant book on. One of the things that we're going to talk about next time is you're controlling your calendar, because you don't want an instant book coming in October and you have a 30-day booking in October, and then all of a sudden you have all this gap that you got to fill, and you can't take something. Like, you got to be really careful, because
very strategic with your
because taking future bookings can really kind of screw you up on some of these bigger contracts. So you need to learn how to control your calendar so you're stacking your reservations on top of each other without those gaps.
Right.
And we still take longer future reservations, but we're not going to take a 30-day reservation. They have to book it for 90 days. If they're booking in October, they're booking it for 90 days.
Yeah.
So we're going to make it worth.
Yeah, we'll
worthwhile.
go more into that one for sure in our next episode. Parking is a big one.
We get this question a lot. Our properties are in suburban areas, and parking is not an issue.
We're not.
But people don't know that. So people coming from cities or from international, they don't know that. And so where they live, that may be a big deal. Parking. So make sure it's clearly listed on your listing that parking, free parking, or whatever the situation is. But we always put free parking. You have this many spaces available.
Garage spaces.
Garage spaces in the driveway. There's additional street park, ample street parking without, no restrictions. Or maybe there's, like for ours, there's street sweeping day. So we put that in there.
Yeah.
But, parking is always a question that pops up, because it can be an issue in certain areas. So, if you do have a area, or if you're looking or evaluating property that parking is an issue, that could be an issue for a midterm more than it would be for a short term.
That's very true.
Vacation rentals are not as big of a deal. People usually only have one car that they're renting.
If even a car, maybe they're Ubering. It's
right.
Yeah.
But on a midterm, you got the whole family coming. They're probably gonna have at least 2 cars, maybe more depending on the demographics of the family. And so that can become a problem if you don't have parking available. Like if it's a condo building or something like that, that can become a pretty big issue.
Definitely. In-unit laundry is a big one.
This is huge. This is one of the other like big amenities that's always selected.
Yeah.
People want laundry. So this is not a short-term rental, right? So they're not coming with a bag full of clothes for the week and they don't need to do laundry. These are people that are going to be living here for a minimum of a month, but most likely 2 to 3 months. They're going to need to do laundry. People do not want to go to a laundromat. They don't want to deal with it. Nobody likes going to a laundromat. And they don't like shared laundry. They don't want to either a condo, like a building that shares laundry, or
not fun,
or like multiple units that have to share laundry. Like we've had those days, and it's like one of them was like, this unit gets to use laundry Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I can tell you with a family of 3 at the time,
it does not work.
It does not work.
No.
What happens when your kid what's the bed and
middle of the night
and you got to do laundry the next morning before his nap time? It just doesn't work.
No, not at all. That's a big one for sure.
Yeah. So what we do with our properties is we have these studios, and we build these studios with little kitchenettes and in-unit laundry. We put a small all-in-one, so it's got washer dryer in one. It's sufficient. It works, especially for a single person, but they have their own laundry and people love it.
Yeah. Space-wise, it's great. It's not big. They're actually really compact, I'll say. Also, it's really nice to not switch over your laundry. We probably talk about that in every episode, how much we love a combo.
These all-in-one combo units
are great.
Like these newer ones are really efficient, do a much better job than they've ever done in the past, and they are very convenient.
If you are a parent especially.
They're expensive units.
They are.
But they are well worth it.
Maybe just someone who forgets to switch over their laundry. You'll probably save money by not having to redo your laundry so much.
Yeah, because we always redo them because they sit all night.
We forget so much. Kitchen or kitchenette is another big one, especially for the studio. Obviously, a main house is going to have a kitchen or a kitchen.
Yeah, so the studios, we always do like a full kitchenette. So it's got, even if it's small, like a hot plate. It's not really a hot plate. We do induction stoves. We do a little miniature oven. We should probably start doing the air fryers, or
I think we'll probably add those in.
Start adding those in. Microwave. We do a fridge, like a small, not a little mini fridge, but a small,
so cute,
full size fridge.
Yeah.
So it's a full, top freezer, top fridge on the bottom. But they're like, 6 feet tall or whatever. It's not the big ones. They're like half the size, but it's for a single person. It's plenty.
Fridge freezer combo.
Yeah. So it's an actual like real fridge, just a smaller one.
Wi-Fi.
Oh, hold on. Oh, you probably skipped the biggest, most important one.
Oh, I did. Oh, yeah. This is an important one. Air conditioning. I can't tell you how many people, like places that we've rented, people that we talked to for co-hosting properties, people that don't have air conditioning in their property that they rent love to tell you that it's not a big deal because they're close to the beach, or it's only hot. Biggest lie ever. Biggest misconception.
It's only hot a week out of the year. Like,
no, but also a lie.
But that 1 week is absolutely miserable. And I guarantee you somebody stays for 6 months and there's no AC, but there's 1 week that's hot and they don't have AC. Do you think they're going to remember the 5 months of cool? No, they're going to remember the one hot week that was just absolutely miserable. And it was just like
not sleeping. How long did we live on the beach? Literally like 2 houses from the beach, 5 to 6 months out of last year. And don't believe it.
The rooms got so hot. It was like
we had to bring in our portable air conditioning, and then we were too cold. We were freezing. But I would rather be freezing and bundle up than be hot.
Their electric bill is probably through the roof because of our AC.
Sure.
But yeah, like spend the money, get an AC, get HVAC or like a central air, or
do something.
Just get the mini splits. So the mini splits work really well. But don't. I mean, if somebody else has AC versus your house, even if they're more expensive, even if the house is nice, not as nice. The AC is always going to win, especially in a hotter climate. Now, it doesn't matter. It gets hot everywhere. Like I'm thinking, even in Oregon, like, yeah, it's only hot in the summer, but it's so humid there. It's absolutely it's almost worse there than it is here because of the humidity.
Yeah.
So it may only get like, 100 degrees in Oregon is really rare. But when it gets 100, it's like 90% humidity. It's absolutely miserable.
That's disgusting.
Like not having AC is just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Most people, you got to think that most people are probably coming from, they have air conditioning in their home and they're coming into this rental. They want to be comfortable and they want something that's going to be just as comfortable as their home. So to not have AC, it's going to be an issue.
And again, the difference between short-term and midterm, they're not just coming for a night or a weekend where they can like, okay, maybe deal with it. I could understand maybe dealing with it for a weekend.
You're not, if you're doing a weekend, you're not in the house. It's a crash pad. You're only there at night.
True.
These are people's homes. They're going to be there during the day. They're going to be there all the time.
You have your children, and when your children are hot, you worry.
They're going to be home all weekend. They're not going to be at the beach all weekend because this is where they're living for that time. So AC, like, don't try to do this without AC, regardless of where you live. Even if you live by the beach and don't think it's a big deal, it's a big deal.
That is a lie.
It is a big deal. Coming from experiences, we've been a displaced family and had to go into a home without AC, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah. I lived on the beach when you and I met in a second story that actually got a decent breeze, but not well enough during those hot months.
We were always at my house with AC.
Yeah, I would drive to your house.
Yeah.
Now, going back to what I was talking about, not just normal Wi-Fi, but good Wi-Fi. Because again, if people are, we've had, I would say the majority of the people that we've hosted are work from home.
Yeah.
And so they need a fast, good, high quality Wi-Fi, high speed.
Don't cheap out.
That was an issue with one of our guests. And he was really, really particular. And
we actually had the best Wi-Fi for our area for DSL. It was with AT&T, I think. And we had the fastest package they had, but they hadn't upgraded. They didn't have fiber optics like lines, and they hadn't upgraded. Like it was the fastest we could get. And it wasn't really that. It's sufficient enough for everybody to stream and whatever, but they did like constant, Zoom calls. Both of them were on Zoom calls all day. And so it wasn't going, like, they were just really concerned about it. They actually got their own cable line put up, and we were totally okay with them doing that. We're like, yeah, go ahead and do that. And so they had a cable line run, and they were able to get internet just for the time that they were there, and they paid for it. And so it worked out. We don't have cable. I don't like cable as much because it fluctuates too much. And when we did have cable, we had a lot of problems with it. Mm-hmm. So I like the DSL because you get the same consistent speed all the time. Again, I wish we were able to get faster internet, and hopefully they upgrade it in that neighborhood sometime soon. We actually have the project we just finished up. We actually have T-Mobile 5G in that, and that is actually really good. Unfortunately, you can't get it at every address. We can't get it the other one because of contracts or whatever, so we couldn't get it at the other house. But we've actually had really good luck with the 5G option, so that's actually been pretty good for us too.
Yeah, and then lastly, queen beds. Don't skip on your bed size. Don't try to say a double's gonna work.
Yeah, don't try to save money because you have a double that's been a full size bed that you had in your extra room and you don't know what to do with it. Like,
don't do it.
Don't try to use that one. Don't try to because it's a small room. A queen will fit or a full will fit, but you have a little more room with a full.
Nope.
The 6 inches that you have on each side is not going to be as valuable or as marketable to somebody that's going to be renting as having a queen. Nope. Because when you put a full, you can say, 2 people in it. But if you're like, for example, when we go to your mother, your parents' house, and there's that full that was that your bed when you were living there? Yeah.
Actually, no.
Oh, well, there's a full there, and it's a bed frame so that you can't hang your feet off. I don't fit, like I won't sleep there anymore because I don't fit in the bed. I have to lay sideways to curl up.
I barely fit.
My back, like it's uncomfortable, and so I just won't do it anymore. If they had a queen, and we talked to them, we've actually offered to buy a queen, and I would sleep in a queen. It's smaller than I like to be in, but it's long enough, and I'm comfortable in a queen.
We can make a queen work.
So
full size does not work.
Put a queen bed in because you're limiting the amount of people that are going to be willing to rent it without a queen. We actually just, for one of our co-hosts, we co-hosted properties, they had a full, and we said, you got to put a queen. I actually had people that were requesting the property and said, we can't do the full. Would the owners be willing to upgrade to a queen? So we were already getting requests. I'm like, we just started co-hosting, and like the first week, I'm like, I'm already getting requests for a queen bed. Like, you've got to put a queen bed. So we actually just put a queen bed in there on the last turnover. So now we've got a queen bed, and we had to get. It was a small room, but we got a different bed that kind of fit under the shutters to create a little more room. And I think there's pretty close to as much room as was in there before with this new bed. So we got the queen in there. Now, it's a little more marketable and we won't have those issues. Nobody's going to complain about a queen, versus a king. Like, they're not going to complain about it.
It's still a very normal
People are going
bed.
to complain about a full.
Also, another difference between short-term and midterm, it's not just a weekend that you're sleeping on an uncomfortable mattress. It is your home.
Yeah. So think about this. If you're putting a bed in there, you need to ask yourself, would you be willing to sleep on that bed for 3 months, 3 months straight? And if you said no, then don't do it. You're not creating a good experience for somebody coming in there. So that's a good measure point.
Hey guys, if you're finding value or just want to follow along on our journey, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. That would help us tremendously. You can also follow us on Instagram at The Broke Millionaires and be sure to share with your friends. Now let's get back to the show. Let's see, what else do you have here?
We'll just run through some of these other places that we list. So VRBO, we don't get a whole lot of VRBO, but we do get some bookings. So I think it's still a viable platform, but they've really fallen behind Airbnb. Airbnb is just taking a lot of market share. Airbnb is putting a lot of money into midterm rentals. They're doing their monthly stays and they're really beefing up and really going after that because so many cities are shutting down short term. So that's eating into that's eating into their revenue. So they know they have to make the shift. So they're spending a lot of money to make this shift into midterm, and VRBO is not doing that. Maybe they are, but not as aware of it, and they're just their technology is way behind, and they're just not quite there. But they still do have a good clientele base, so it's still worth putting it on there.
Right.
We don't pay for the listing; we do pay per booking with them. So doesn't cost us anything to put it on there. So it's kind of a low risk. Apartments.com has been really big for us. We actually get a lot of leads. All right, we have a current guest. We have a 90-day contract right now that came from Apartments.com, and we get quite a few leads from Apartments.com. So you have to make sure that you put it in as a furnished rental, but there are quite a few people looking on Apartments.com for furnished rentals. So a lot of people don't
Never
realize
would have guessed that.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that, but I did it and we get a ton of leads from it. So I
think because we started with studios, probably.
I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I put it on apartments.com. It was a free listing. We don't do the paid ones, and we get a good amount of leads.
Yeah.
We do Zillow when a property is available within 14 days or less. We don't like to do it further ahead because then we get people that want to view the property and it's not available for 2 months and it just never works out. So we only do Zillow when the property is available within 14 days or less. But we do actually get quite a few leads. We also get a lot of leads from temporary housing placement providers. And so that'll help us network because then once they reach out to us, we got their number, they got ours, and we tell them what we do. And so we kind of build our network of providers that way too. So we actually get a lot of network or a lot of placement provider leads through those Zillow listings.
Yeah.
And then just putting the property with temporary housing placement providers. So that's kind of a big part of our network is all these companies that work with corporations and insurance companies to do placements for temporary housing that's furnished. There's a lot of local ones and national ones will put the properties that we have in their database. So when they have a request, it'll pop up and we get I actually got 3 notifications today from placement providers looking for stuff in the area, and all our stuff's booked. But I just had 3 leads today, and I don't have anywhere to send them because we don't have any properties available. But those are really important to build that network and get your property into those databases. And then just networking with local operators and these placement providers. There's a lot of Facebook groups, national ones. You've done
a really good job with that.
And local ones, and just I'm very active in those and helping people that have questions, kind of tell them what we've done, and just networking with different people, and spread around some leads through people I've met that way as well. And there's some meetup groups and some masterminds that I'll do when I've got time, and just trying to network with people so that people know what we do. And then, we're able to pass leads back and forth. Furnish Finder is another one. It's not a great one for houses. It's more for Furnish Finder originally started for nurses, travel nurses. So it's for furnished properties for travel nurses, mostly studios and one bedrooms. So it's really good for those smaller properties, but the bigger properties, we get maybe 1 out of 10 leads on there is for a house. The other 9 are all for studios.
Yeah.
So the higher ticket properties don't do as well. However, what we've found and the way we use Furnish Finder is a marketing funnel for all the leads because you get direct requests from your listing. But what I found is there's more people requesting housing. They'll go in there and they'll fill out a form and say, I'm looking for housing in this area, this date, in this price range. I am very on top of every single lead. I get an email, I get a text notification every time someone submits a request, whether they're looking for a studio, a 1 bedroom, a 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom, 6 bedroom. We have listings on all of those in Orange County. We have a listing for a studio, 1 bedroom, all the way through 6 bedrooms. So anybody and we only have one. We don't put all our properties on there. We have our 6 listings and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime someone in Orange County is looking for basically any property, we get that listing because we get that request, again, notification of that request because we have something that's in Orange County that meets that criteria.
Yeah.
And it might not be like a perfect match, but it shows like an unrelated match or something because somebody's in Orange County is searching for this many bedrooms. So I'm very active on staying top of those leads. And we actually just placed a co-hosted property. We signed up 2 weeks ago or a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And there was a lead that came in that was a perfect match for them. And this property, these owners travel a lot. They go to Europe a lot. They go to different places. They're in Europe for 3 months right now. And so they want to rent their property out for the time that they're gone. And so it's kind of tricky. It's not like an open calendar and we've never done this before, but we're like, well, we'll try it. And so we did kind of a modified co-hosted program for them. And we literally filled it in 24 hours. I think I got that lead that came in. I was like, hey, I've got this. What do you think of this? This actually works perfect for the dates you're gone.
It matched up like
they'll check in like 3 days before you guys get back from Europe or whatever it was. So like it literally was like full occupancy for the entire time they're in Europe, and it worked out. We ended up sending that one through Airbnb since we weren't doing they're actually managing everything. We weren't doing all the screening for them. It was a modified, we were just doing marketing for them. So we had them go through Airbnb to kind of give them a little more protection. But yeah, it worked out. It worked out perfectly for this group that was looking for a place. It was perfect location for where they were working for the summer.
Yeah.
And it just worked out.
Yeah.
So had I not been doing this Furnish Finder lead, that we may have never filled that property or not had that like the perfect, because we don't get a lot of requests in that area. So it's kind of a unique.
Yeah, that was different.
It's just lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
And I would say the last thing is, especially if you're new, finding a good co-host in your area that's got a good marketing strategy and a good network to get these consistent leads. So we built up the marketing strategy and the network of leads, but you can partner with somebody and pay a percentage of your revenue to get this co-host, and the co-host can help with everything, but you really want to find somebody that's got the marketing, it's got the network, and they can bring those leads, not just relying on an Airbnb. So if you are looking for a co-host, make sure you look for somebody that, one, I always say, find somebody that has their own properties and they know what it's like to have their own properties, because people tend to be a little better operator in those cases. There's a lot of fly-by-night co-hosts that don't even own a property. Yeah. They just get into this because they see it's a way to make a quick buck without owning a property and investing in any of their own money. And I say that as a general rule of thumb. However, we do know some operators in the area that don't own properties and are co-hosts, but co-host like 80 properties, and they're very good and they're on top of it and they're some of the best operators. But generally speaking, there's a lot of people trying to get into this and just try to, like, I don't own a property, I don't have money to buy a property, but I can co-host and get into it and be a middleman to make money. They don't care about the properties as much.
Yeah.
Getting them filled, and they don't have that mentality. So I would say be careful on who you, like, when you're interviewing a co-host, ask if they own properties, or, if they have a lot of properties and have good reviews and have full calendars. That's an example of a really good operator that's on top of it and has a good marketing funnel. But a co-host can be a great way to bring in more leads. Yeah, you got to give up a little bit of money, but paying 10%, 15%, whatever that host may charge, is going to be a lot more beneficial than having a month of vacancy.
100%.
Yeah, so that's huge. All right, I think that's kind of covers that, and this is probably the latest we've ever recorded an episode,
It's
but
100% the latest, and I'm feeling it.
we had to wait till everybody was asleep, so it is what it is.
And the littlest one's going to be waking up anytime now.
It's
I'm
almost
surprised
feeding
he
time,
hasn't.
so
So we did get it in before he woke up.
yes.
Happy about that.
Closing recommendations, that book that we referenced earlier, Unreasonable Hospitality. I just started reading it, so I haven't gone through it, but we've had multiple guests suggest this, and I think just having that mentality is so important in this business.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Any closing thoughts? That's it?
No, I'm good. You're about to fall asleep, so I don't think you have any closing thoughts.
I don't have any final
All right.
thoughts. Bed is my final.
All right. Hopefully we'll be able to do next week and be more consistent. But if we don't, if it doesn't drop on time or we miss a week, we're not stopping this. We just have not found time to sit down and record. So
it falls back to my word of the year, grace. We'll ask give us some grace.
Please. So it may be a little bit of a bi-weekly thing right now, depending on if we find the time or not. But we are going to try to continue doing this weekly, and we will get back into it.
Once we're on a more regimented sleep
once we
schedule.
start sleeping a little bit.
Once we have a schedule for sleep.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Anything? That's it? You're falling, nodding off. All right.
That's it.
All right. Get out there and make it happen.
Thanks for listening. This has been a production of Rebuilding the Dream Studios.